Hello again. It's Jane from Vacation Bible School, and I wanted to just use this time to quickly summarize what we've been doing this week. So to get us started, I want to have you do a quick craft, making an origami book. I do want to let you know that there's one slight issue with it, and that is that we put the one day twice, but it's the best day possible. So as you're reading through, you'll get a fold your book and decorate it the way you want. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So today we're going to do another craft that has to do with Vacation Bible School. The first day's theme was God heals my hands so I can help. And so on that day we did some origami so we could see how cool our hands are and what cool things we could make with them. So today I'm going to show you how to make an origami book. And this origami book, you've already gotten the piece of paper. And so it has all of these things. If it was already cut for you, great. If it hasn't been, what I suggest you do is you fold it in half so that you have it here, and you'll see this thick line here. Just cut along that thick line so that it has an opening. And then once you've done that, you're going to make sure that you fold on all the creases and that all the creases are going in all the different directions so that you can make this really cool book. Once you have it all folded with all the creases, go ahead and open it up, put it to sort of fold it in half, and you'll notice it makes almost like a mouth thing here. Go ahead and fold that mouth, and what I'm doing is I have my fingers on either edge here on the top part, and I'm just gonna push my fingers together. And when I do that, it sort of folds back into a book. And when it does, I wanna have this page on front. Now, if it's not that page on the front, just go ahead and turn it and fold it back until you find the right one. And as you go, and then there's the verse on the back. Now on the front, it says, I'm the God who heals you. And then it's gonna talk about the different lessons that we went through. And you, as we talk about them, can either draw pictures about the actual story we talked about, or you can just draw things that help you remember. Like maybe where it says my feet so I can go, you could draw pictures of feet or somebody else walking. Now, I do want to point out that we doubled up on two of them. This one says my heart so that I can love, and this one says my heart so that I can love. When we went through the lesson, it was my spirit so I can rest. So if that bothers you, you're welcome to put that in. But we sort of thought that it's not bad to know that God heals our heart so we can love, because that's our number one job with him. So I am the God who heals you. God heals my hands so I can help. He heals my heart that I can love. He heals my feet so I can go. My heart that I can love. And my eyes so I can see, because he loves me. And on the back, it talks about the fact that Jesus did so many more miracles than we could even have talked about this week, and that we can always be learning about him. So as you've got this all together and you're ready to go, now I'm going to start talking about some of the stories that we learned about this week, and you're going to be able to make this book your own. Now that you have your book together, I wanted to make sure that we talked about the front of your book, which says, I am the God who heals you. When we talked about this week, we kept talking about how God healed people with the miracles of Jesus, but we didn't talk very much about where it came from. So I just want to very quickly talk about that. It comes from Exodus 15:26, which is in the very front of the Bible. And in the Bible, it says that when the children of Israel were coming out of Egypt, if you remember the story of Moses, if you've heard that story before, but even if you hadn't, God said, miraculous things are going to happen. And I'm going to take care of you, but there's something you need to bring to the situation too. I need you to do your best to do what I have commanded you. Now, God's commands can seem really overwhelming at times, all the rules and stuff, but they come down to two, which is love him and love others. Show kindness to others as a way to reflect him in the world. So we've been talking about that throughout the week. So that's cool. So the first we talk about reflecting at the others, that deals with day number 1, which says, God heals my hands so I can help. And in Matthew 8, we read the story about the man with leprosy. Leprosy, if you remember, was the disease that was made your skin die, and it was just awful. And not only did it make your hands and your feet strange, but also other people couldn't touch you. And so Jesus did something that was incredibly cool, is not only did he heal the man, but he also touched him, which would have been something that hadn't happened to this guy in a very long time. And I think now more than ever, we know that we need people to hug and to love us. And so this man had Jesus to love him. And we can help others by doing things for them. And then there was also the faith of the centurion, the soldier who had so much faith that he said, if you just tell my servant to be well, he will be well. And at that very hour, his servant was healed. So that was day one, remembering that God heals our hands so that we can help, just like Jesus helped others. On day two, we talked about that Jesus heals my heart that I can love. Sometimes things happen in our hearts that just sort of mess with the way we deal with other people. Maybe bad things have happened. And in the story that we read in Matthew, still in Matthew 8, it was that he healed the people who had demons in their heart. And he sent the demons into the herd of pigs so that it would go off into the water and they would be destroyed forever. But he had to say, I want to heal your heart. I want to heal from the inside out. As I said, God has 2 commandments. Love him, love others. And sometimes to do that, we need to let him come in and heal our hearts. So we talked about how important it is not to let the bad things in, but to have God and Jesus in our hearts. On day 3, we learned that God heals our feet so I can go. And in the story that we read, it was also this one. Now we're in Matthew 9, so we've just gone one page over. He talks about that there was this man who was carried by his friends and placed at the foot of Jesus so that he could heal him. And he basically said, take heart, son, your sins are forgiven. And people thought, what? Your sins? And he said, it doesn't matter. It means that he believes in me, he believes in God, and I'll take care of the rest. I'll take care of the rest. And again, it goes back to that idea that we can do great things because God can live in us and help us to accomplish amazing, amazing things. And we also tied this in later in the week to the fact that we had a young man who used his feet to go to Liberia. And although he went on a plane and got there, didn't have to walk all the way to Liberia. That wouldn't be possible across the big ocean. But when he got there, he did walk among the people and realized that they needed help. And that's how we started Loving Liberia, Inc. And that's our mission project. So if you're interested in giving to missions, remember, that's something that we do all year long. And we'd be welcome to have you be partners in helping us serve others. Now, day 4 isn't the words that you have in your book. If you remember from going through the lessons, it was God heals my spirit so I can rest. And when that story, we talked about how there was the woman who had a bleeding disorder and it just didn't stop. And so she came and touched his robe. But Jesus could feel the power go out of him, and how she had been so sad for so long. But God could come in and give her spirit a chance to rest and a chance to heal. It was also the story that same day we talked about the girl who was dead. And her father came and said, that my daughter's dying. And people said, oh, she's already dead. And Jesus said, no, she's just sleeping. And even though she had died, he wanted us to know that he can take care of so many things in our lives. And sometimes the biggest thing is just quieting our heart and quieting our spirit so that we can find him and that we can make room in our heart to love him and to love others. On day 5, our last story was that Jesus heals the blind and the mute, people who can't see and people who couldn't talk. And our key theme for the day was Jesus heals my eyes so that I can see. Sometimes it's not just seeing what's around us and what we can look at, but it's also seeing through God's eyes. And that was something that we worked on, and that we need to see ourselves through God's eyes, that we are perfect and wonderful and amazing, and he has got great things in store for us. And also how we can see others. That sometimes when people are mean or sometimes people aren't kind to us, it's because something else is going on. And God can see the big picture. And the more we can see things the way God sees things, the better we can indeed love him and love others. This has been an amazing week at Vacation Bible School this week. I'm so excited that you were able to be involved remotely. The videos are going to stay online. The craft ideas are going to stay up. You are welcome to come back and visit anytime you want. And we look forward to seeing you next July, because we are looking so forward to being back in person next year. So, thanks again.
Now